Welcome to the Longest Turn Board Gaming Podcast. This is episode 44, Top 5 Gen Con Games. My name is Tyler.
Hello, this is Kevin.
This is Tyson.
In this episode, we're going to talk about some of the games that we played or are excited about from Gen Con.
Oh yeah, the craziness that was Gen Con.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm the guy over here who just got to sit back and watch you guys go to Gen Con.
Live vicarious.
So I'm excited about a lot of games that you brought back, and I'm excited about some games that you guys may or may not have played or seen. So I'm excited to see what you guys...
Did Kevin do a better job than I did at Origins?
So much better. Kevin was on top of it. I could tell that Kevin was going out of his way to deliberately send stuff that I could see.
Yeah, so if I would demo a game, I'd take a picture of it, post it in our Discord. Something I was excited about, I'd post in the Discord. So hopefully, if you weren't able to go, you could live a little bit vicariously through us.
I was too busy teaching Astra for 4 hours. For
and the Mind Clash booth.
Yeah, that was fun though. Yeah. It was cool.
And when I wasn't demoing games, I was just trying to fight through crowds to get to where I wanted to go. There was a lot of people.
Yeah, so this
was
both of your first Gen Cons.
Yes.
I've never been. For those who haven't attended Gen Con, what kinds of, now that you've been, what would you maybe do differently next time?
Just not go.
Too many people.
Too many people for me. I only have Origins to compare it to, and I prefer Origins much more. It was awesome to get early access to new games, and we had a blast playing a lot of games back at the hotel with Ben and Greg. We got a ton of new games played. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, one thing that I would do different, I didn't schedule a whole lot of events. I'd probably schedule a few more events, and not schedule events at 10 o'clock when the hall opens.
Yeah.
which I didn't check times for some reason. So it's like Thursday when the hall opens, everybody's excited, and I look at my schedule. I'm like, I've got an event at 10 o'clock, and the hall opens at 10. What am I doing? So I didn't go to that.
It was just that one game.
Yeah, it was
right?
the Rio Grande, the Space Station Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was gonna play that one.
You should have played it, but I understand the conflict there. It probably was worth avoiding, but
so it was so much better standing for an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
With 500 other people within 10 feet of us.
Yeah, so I had seen pictures before of Gen Con and the mad rush to get into the hall, and we were in the middle of that mad rush. There were so many people there. It was just insane.
And the Lorcana release made it so much worse.
Oh, it made
supposedly, from what other people said.
Not having experience going before, we didn't know, but everybody said Lorcana just made it even worse. People were lining up the day before to get in, to get into the hall at 10. to get Lorcana stuff.
I've watched Gen Con coverage in years past, and there's been games that people line up for, but I watched somebody go from the very front of the Lorcana line with a camera, and then they walked all the way to the back of the Lorcana line, and it was stretching all through the hall, and then it spills out into the hallways, and then it went and wrapped around a couple of different spots. It was probably one of the most lengthy lines I've ever seen of people.
Yeah, we stayed away from that line. And I tried to stay away from the Ravensburger booth altogether because there was just a lot of people around there for sure.
The will call line was...
Oh, that was ridiculous.
It was extremely long. Like, it just kept going and going and going. We got there at like 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday night to pick up our badges. Kevin had his shipped, but Ben and Greg and we had to pick up our badges.
And even if you didn't pick up your badge, that's where you picked up your ticket at events, your tickets to your events. So,
but that line was hauling. I mean,
they did a really good job.
We were there like maybe 30, 35 minutes, and I thought it was going to be like 3 or 4 hours.
They opened it earlier on Wednesday than they have ever in years past. So I think they opened at 8 a.m. and usually they open at afternoon or something.
And I don't think it closed either. I think it was going all through the night. as well.
Well, I mean, I looked through lines of that too, like videos of people doing the lines of that, and compared to Lorcana, that was a significantly better line.
But with all the crowds and stuff, it was exciting, right? There was an energy there that was really cool, and we planned out our attack. This is where we're going to go first, and I want this game.
Ben and Greg went in separate doors. And
so Ben, Greg, you go to Pandasaurus and get this one, and then I'll go to Devere, and we'll.
And I was headed to Osprey first.
Yeah, and Tyler went to Osprey, and then I went to Osprey right after. So we had our plan and what we wanted to do, which was really fun. It was cool and it was exciting.
It was like Black Friday on steroids.
Yeah,
from 15 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
There was actually doorbusters and stuff that people would
get trampled and stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a little bit of that. It's funny. I had a friend send me a news article about the Lorcana release and how there were so many people, and it ended up being a little bit of a dangerous situation because of that.
Well, did you hear about the criminal activity that happened?
Yeah. Yes, which is ridiculous.
The pallets.
Get your own crap. Jeez.
Pallets were stolen from Gen Con
right.
games, like full pallets.
Yeah, which drives me nuts because, these publishers, this is their livelihood, right?
It's tens of thousands of dollars
right.
lost in one pallet, like being taken away, essentially. And it's crazy.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. But, yeah. So should we jump in?
So we're gonna
games that we're excited about, right?
Yeah, we're going to skip our normal games that we've been playing lately. Some of those will come up in our top 5 list, I'm sure. But yeah, we're going to skip that and jump right into our top 5 list. So Tyson, you're going to kind of highlight games that you are excited about, right?
Right, because obviously I did not play any games at Gen Con. So yes, I've got a list full of games that if I had been there, these were the ones that I would have wanted more information on and checking out.
Cool.
Awesome.
And all of mine are ones that I played. I don't know if you did any.
I
Kevin,
did.
That are ones you're excited about or that you previewed.
Let me look. There are actually 2 on my list that I haven't played yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So they will be played.
Won't have as much crossover as I thought.
Yeah, they'll be played soon. Three of them I've played. So
cool.
We'll see. Yeah, maybe we'll have crossover. Maybe not. There were so many games though. So.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Who's starting? How about I start?
Okay.
All right, cool.
Kevin's going to start.
Okay. So we talked about this plan that we had before going into the hall, right? So my first stop was the Devere booth. And this is a game, one of them that I haven't played yet, but I was super excited about. I love the look of it. That's why I went straight to this booth, and that is Ring Circus. I was able to pick up a copy. I actually picked up 2 copies because Ben and Greg were on the other side of the hall at Pandasaurus, and they wanted to make sure they got a copy as well. So I picked up 2 copies of Ring Circus. So this one's designed by, I'm going to butcher these names, so sorry, it's Remo Conzadori and Fabio Lopiano. Art done by Edu Valls, and as I mentioned, it's published by Devere. So this is... it's a circus game. Okay, so players take on the role of a circus director who tours the United States at the end of the 19th century. So your objective is to hire artists and offer performances in various towns and cities with the intention of gaining fame. So one of the things that drew me to this game was just the aesthetic. It looks amazing. You've got these little circus tents.
They're really cool.
Right? The art's amazing. I got to the booth and I saw the size of the box. I'm like, wow, you got to be kidding me. I mean, it's a small box, but you pick it up and it's heavy. It's dense, right? They pack a lot in there. And I appreciate that because shelf space is limited, right? We saw it laid out and it's a pretty decent sized game, right? So they get a lot in that little box. The theme draws me to it. The art's great. I don't know a whole lot about it. It looks like it's area majority. You got endgame bonuses, hand management, movement points. I'm reading the mechanisms off of Board Game Geek, but all things that I think I'll enjoy, and hopefully
it's gorgeous.
Hopefully it's just an amazing game, right?
If it lives up to the way that it looks, then you're in for a really great game because this game looks like one of the best quality non-Ian O'Toole art kind of games that I've seen. Like, It's got that kind of aesthetic where every little bit of it is like cleverly designed so that like the graphic design and the artwork all go hand in hand.
Plus all those colorful tints, when you get them out on the board, it looks cool.
This was definitely one that was on my list that I was hoping you'd check out or pick up. And so I am eagerly looking forward to when you pull this off.
I think I need to crack the shrink on this one and get the rules read and get it played for sure.
Absolutely. Plus, Devere's been killing it lately.
Oh, yeah.
They had a number of releases at Gen Con that were looked really interesting to me. Savernake
Forest. We actually got that one played, and
we did play that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's on somebody's list later, but no, shaking his head. I would have been surprised. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. There were a few that like they had that I thought that looked really interesting, and they are killing it, and they do a great job at their presentation all across the board.
Yeah, and their booth was packed, so which caused a few problems because of all the people, right?
Yeah.
But they had lines just wrapping around other booths, and it was a pretty hopping place to be for sure.
Yeah, you got to get these rules read, Kevin, because I'm looking at some of the pictures of this game, and there's like an actual jigsaw puzzle kind of a piece to this game that I'm looking at too. I have no idea what it does, but it intrigues me.
Sounds amazing. I don't know what it does either. Yeah, we'll get this one played soon for sure. So that's my number 5 is 3 Ring Circus.
So I'll go next. My number 5 is a game that at first glance I did not have any interest in. It was one that I thought, oh, that art, that box art, whatever, it doesn't look that appealing. And it had a very generic name, a very Euro-sounding name. It's Barcelona.
Okay.
This is a game designed by Danny Garcia. The artist is Alexander Zawada, and it's published by Board and Dice. So really, when I heard it was Board and Dice publishing this game, that started to kind of...
They're pretty good.
Pique my interest,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I've been a fan of almost everything that they've put out that I've played. They have great attention to detail. They pick good designers. They know how to vet a game. So I started looking into this more, and really it's only the board, the box of the board game that I don't really like the artwork. The rest of it actually looks really beautiful. Some of the art reminds me somewhat of the 3 Ring Circus art. They have pieces similar to that. Like it looks like they're trolley pieces, whereas in 3 Ring Circus, they were little train kind of caravan pieces. That reminds me a lot of 3 Ring Circus in some ways. But all the art in this game is very evocative as well. But not only that, this is a city building game. So essentially you're building Barcelona, during a period of time. The 1860s is when you're building Barcelona, and your role is to help expand it, essentially. So the mechanic is tile placement, which I do like tile placement games a lot, but it's also tile placement with worker placement. So it adds 2 mechanics that I don't often see together in a way that I'm intrigued by. So this is my number 5, Barcelona. Did either of you get a chance to see this one or look at it or do anything with it?
It was a very popular one, and you're in luck. Ben bought this one.
He did.
So
along with every other game that was at the convention.
I think he bought everything. Yeah. One of everything. That's what he did. And it's amazing that everything made it home. Underweight limit in the suitcases. So he bought a copy, which I'm super glad he did, because I decided pretty early on I wasn't going to go for that one.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm glad he picked it up. It ended up getting sold out at the show, so it was a popular one.
There were a lot of games that sold out this year, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he picked it up, because now I'm going to have to pester him to play this one.
Yeah, for sure. It's one I want to play.
All right, so my number 5 is another game that Ben picked up. This is from the Op. It is The Perfect Wave. It's designed by Jason Mowery and Chase Williams, and the art, which I absolutely love because it's like this blue-orange theme, the sunset and the wave. It's Patrick Spaziante. Sorry if I mispronounced that. So this game, it's an open drafting game where you have these cards that make up a wave, and each player has a very long board, and you're trying to add wave cards that to this board that grow in size from left to right. You can place in any spot at any time when you take a wave card, but they need to sequentially get bigger. And then for you to score that wave, you have to move your little surfer at the bottom of your wave board as far right as you possibly can. So at the end of the game, you only score for how far out your surfer gets, and then he rides the wave back in, right, and scores all these points. I really like so it's an open draft, and which can be wave cards and trick cards, and they're in 2 rows in the middle, and they're constantly shifting out to sea. So the cards that are available are constantly cycling. You get 2 action points on your turn. You can do things like draft a card, place a card from your hand. When you draft a card, you can immediately place it. There's some group scoring options that, if activated by someone, will get scored.
Kind of like terraforming Mars, I think, that mechanic. Somebody has to choose that in order for it to be available for everybody. Right?
Yeah. So you have a starting scoring card. You collect different ones throughout the game. These trick cards that you put above each wave slot, that if you meet the condition, then you'll score those as well. So you're just trying to score as many points as possible. Really not a super complex game. And I think if we played again, we could play in under an hour.
Yeah, for sure.
Playtime says it's 30 to 60 minutes. I was going to ask, it's
pretty accurate.
Do you feel like it falls within that range? Could you play it in 30 minutes?
I would say if you were playing 2 or 3
players,
player, absolutely. We played it at 4, and it was our first play, but an hour is very reasonable at 4. But just fun open drafting, building your wave, figuring out your puzzle, and how to maximize all the potential points that you can score from the different scoring options. So that was my number 5, the perfect wave from the op.
Yeah, it was a fun one. I liked it. Yep.
This was one of the ones you played back in the hotel room, right?
We did. Well,
you guys seem to take it. I noticed you guys went to the hotel room a number of times and ended up playing quite a few games that way.
So our hotel had a smaller room that was available with tables set up, and most of the time we were the only ones in there, which was kind of nice. But yeah, this was one of the ones that we took back and played there.
Yep. All right. So my number 4, this is the game I wanted to get. That was at Pandasaurus, which was at the opposite side of Devere. So Ben and Greg picked this one up, and this is Sea Salt and Paper. This isn't a brand new game, so it wasn't, I don't think, debuting at Gen Con, but it was a reprint. It's been out of print for a while, and there was a lot of hype around this one. I'm pretty sure it's sold out as well. So it's designed by Bruno Cathala and Theo Riviera, with art done by Lucien Darien and Perry Yves Gollard. I am so sorry. That was just terrible. But, and then it's published by Pandasaurus, like I said. So it's just a small card game. The way it works is you're trying to get to either 30, 35, or 40 points, depending on how many people are playing the game. It plays over a number of rounds. You draw cards from the deck, and then you're discarding cards to one of 2 discard piles. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get certain scoring conditions based on the cards that you have. You can collect an anchor, for example. There are 2 anchors in the deck. If you get both anchors, you can play those. You'll have those anchors in your hand, and it'll be worth 5 points. You can get other cards that will allow you to take cards from the discard piles. You play cards from your hand that will give you actions, like taking a card from the discard pile, taking a card at random from another player, other things that you can do. The whole goal of the round is to get to 7 points. When you get to 7 points, you have an option. You can either say stop, the round stops, everybody counts up the points that they have, or you can say something else. I forget what it is, but it means, okay, the round is over, but everybody else will get one more turn except for the person that called for a round end, right? And if you call for round end and it goes around and you still have the highest number of points, you get to score more points potentially than everybody else. If you don't have the most points, you get like a lesser benefit, right? and you keep on playing rounds until somebody gets to enough points to win, and that's the game. Super simple, really fun. I think this is the weight of game that my family will just love. It's over pretty quick, 30 to 45 minutes. I think I had a lot of fun with Sea Salt and Paper. We played it a few times.
We did. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Super simple.
Yeah.
I loved there were times where we ended up with just one draw pile instead of two.
Right. And everybody kept on playing in one. Somebody finally broke the trend, or it was a good one. And the card quality is amazing. The game comes in a package where it's impossible to sleeve the cards. So
it's nice that
I'm not going to sleeve, so it's nice that it's really good quality.
Yeah.
So, and the art's kind of fun.
Pandasaurus's small box games are like that. I feel like they're really good quality, but they're very tightly fitted right in that box. But
yeah.
I've played this game on Board Game Arena, and I don't remember, as you were talking about it, I remembered kind of what it was doing and how to do it, but I was not very good at this game. It's one that I think, even though it's a small box, probably deserves a play on the table first, just to fully kind of see how those discard piles work and what you're drawing from and what you're trying to do.
And as with most games, I think it's probably a little bit more fun face to face, especially it's a quick game, right? Yeah. But now that I know it's on BGA, I'm interested to check it out and play a little bit on there too. So that's my number 4, Sea Salt and Paper.
My number 4 has nothing to do with salt, but it does have to do with another very valuable resource.
Paper?
Silver.
Oh.
So this is
a weird transition. I liked it though.
By CGE?
By CGE.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Kutná Hora. It was only available for demo at Gen Con, and it's going to be released at Spiel. But it's Kutná Hora, the city of silver. It's designed by Ondřej Bistron, Petr Kaslava, and Pavel Jarosz. And it's, as Tyler said, published by Czech Games Edition.
I checked this out at Origins early preview night. I guess I didn't send you the picture.
You did not send me anything. One of the things,
Shocker.
If you did, I would have noticed that there are some interesting things about this game that stand out. It has what it's calling the cardboard calculator in this game, where it's got this economic system where you have the sliders.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of it right now.
It has an interesting mechanism that I don't think has existed in any other type of game. It reminds me slightly of, like, if you've ever played Chocolate Factory, which has sliding bits as well. But the idea, this is interestingly, Barcelona was a city builder game. This is also a city building game, but it's got economic and territory kind of control in this game, and it is tile placement. So both of my picks are city building tile placement games so far, but really this one, the aesthetic, it's got this really dark kind of aesthetic to it, but it's really interesting looking. And I think that with this little cardboard calculator, what it's trying to do is very interesting to me in a way that it's something I haven't seen before. I ended up watching a video from CGE on YouTube, kind of showing around Gen Con and everything they were doing, and they kind of showed this game, and it really popped on the table to me as one that I was really interested in checking out. But you said, Tyler, that you've seen this, or you demoed it even?
I didn't demo it. I saw it at Origins, and I think it looks really cool. I don't know that I'll buy it, but I would definitely be interested in playing it if you got it.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it yet to say that it's one that I want to buy, but as Spiel comes out and it starts getting sold, maybe I'll be more inclined to do so. I do like CGE a lot. They have published a lot of really great games.
They have, yep.
Most notably, Adrenaline.
That I've heard great things about that one. Great things.
Which one is that? The first-person shooter one?
Yeah.
We saw that, didn't we, at Gen Con?
Yeah.
We did.
We
It's
did.
still out in the wild.
See,
there.
people are still playing it because it's a great game. But actually, I like CGE. Like, I think they do a lot of great things. They did Pulsar.
Yep, Pulsar.
which is phenomenal. And
Dungeon Lords, Dungeon Pets.
Yeah, exactly. They did all that, and they continuously bring out good stuff. They did Code Names as well. So
Code Names, Galaxy Trucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have constantly brought out quality products. So I kind of anticipate
Through
this
the
one to be a
ages?
good one. Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yeah,
That's
right.
true.
That is true. Another hot game at Gen Con. Yeah.
Sulkin.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Man,
It's
they're
right-
just
the list goes on and on.
I'm seeing a lot of CGE on my shelf,
That's right.
except for Lost Ruins.
So maybe
I sold
I'm
that.
hoping this is another CGE hit.
Yeah.
It's one that I'm going to be keeping my eye on.
I definitely want to play your copy.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Put in the pre-order. There you go.
All right. My number 4 is a social deduction game.
What?
Yeah. So this game is awesome, and I think this is on your list.
Probably.
So I don't know. I'm going to talk too much about it.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk about it.
Inside Job from Cosmos. Okay.
Amazing game.
It's a semi-cooperative trick-taking game with social deduction. Okay?
I will tell you that this game did not make my list simply because I cannot be excited with this group about social deduction games. So the fact that you both have this on your list is kind of like making me super excited.
It hit a sweet spot for me. Right?
Yeah,
Because
it
I'm
was-
not a huge social deduction fan. But yeah, it was really fun.
So if you've played The Crew, also by Cosmos, you are cooperatively trying to accomplish mission goals while playing a trick-taking game. This adds in a traitor or an insider.
So you're either an agent or an insider.
Yeah.
And there's one insider, and then everybody else is agents.
What's the player count on this?
It's up to 5.
Yep. So it's designed by Tanner Simmons, and the artist is Marek Blaha. Sorry. And like I said, Cosmos. So if you are the insider, you are trying to collect mission intel,
Yep.
a certain amount to win, and you do that by winning tricks. Okay. Everybody else, the agents, are all trying to accomplish each trick's goal
Or mission.
or mission, right?
Yep.
And so when they accomplish a certain amount of missions, then they win. But if the insider gets enough intel before enough missions can be accomplished, then the insider wins. If you're the insider, you don't want to reveal yourself too early, but at a certain point you're going to have to reveal yourself.
And then everybody's accusing at that point. It's like, wait a minute. That's not right.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not have one of those cards, right?
Yeah. In fact, yeah. But the thing that I really like about it, even if you're the insider and once you reveal, you still have a chance of winning. Like, it's not done at that point.
Right.
It could still go either way based on how the game's going.
Like if you reveal prematurely or you're outed or whatever?
Yeah, because you can still, if you have a strong enough hand, you can still win a bunch of tricks and get enough intel to meet your goal.
Even though everybody else is trying to thwart that, right?
But it's one thing that's really cool. So there are certain rules about, you have to follow suit, and then you can only play trump if you don't have the suit-led card.
Standard trick-taking rules, right?
But if you're the insider, you can break all those rules.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
So
Play any card you want.
Yeah. So there's times where it's like, okay, I'm going to play this card and say that I don't have any more greens, and then I'm going to hide the greens in my hand so I don't accidentally play them later and give away that I was lying.
Well, because that's the thing. You have to remember what people play, because they could mess up and play a card that they were, and like, wait a minute. Either you don't know how this game works or you're the insider,
And then you have people like, when it comes their turn to play a card, everybody knows what they should play to win the trick or to win the objective, the mission.
Yeah.
And they'll play something and be like, "Oh, I don't have any of those." That.
And it's funny too, because they could legitimately not have one of those.
Right.
Like we played a game where Ben played a card that didn't follow suit, and we're like, "How do you have none of those?" And he's like, "I swear I don't have any." And we're like, Nope, you're the insider, and he ended up not being the insider.
You were the
insider. It was me.
Yes.
Yeah, I was the insider.
That sounds like it's got all the trappings of what makes a social deduction great, but also all the trappings of what makes a good trick taker on top of that, which is an amazing combination.
It gets even better because you can add in different roles that change it up a little bit.
Yep.
And other
or a lot.
Or
change
a
it up,
ton.
Or a ton, yeah.
One of the roles was an assistant, I think. And the assistant would pick somebody at the start of the game and see what their card was, whether they were the insider or an agent, and they were tied to that person through the rest of the game. So I don't know. It was very interesting how much the different roles can change it up. And
all right. This is suddenly, even though I did not put this on my list, this suddenly has shot to the top of my list, and so it's maybe on the A+, 1 plus kind of a number. I'm very excited to get this one played. I love, it sounds like it's got the opportunities that I love in social deduction games, where you as either like the insider, right, in this one, have the motivation to be able to do things that are risky, but on top of that, it also makes other people accidentally do things that could be perceived as insidery or risky, which is the type of thing that I think is really satisfying in a social deduction game.
It was fun. And we were talking about it after. It's like this, like trick taking sets up so well for this type of game.
Yeah.
The fact that we haven't played a game like this before is crazy, because it's just such a good idea. Right. And we were talking about the different roles. So the insider in the last game we played was Professor No.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
If you have 4 intel tokens in front of you, you have to reveal your role. The insider's trying to get everybody but themselves to reveal their role.
So it completely flipped
completely, right? And
what you were trying to do.
It makes you think about the game in a different way.
Yeah.
And another thing you can do, and I don't think you mentioned this, but you can put an intel token on a card to make it trump, right?
Yep.
And then whoever wins that trick gets an intel token plus all the intel tokens that are on that card, which adds a completely different dynamic to the game, because you could be inadvertently giving somebody intel tokens that you don't want to give intel tokens, right?
Yeah.
But you could be forcing the mission to be won or something like that. So super fun game.
I love that it kind of brings in the mission objectives like the crew has, but just flips it on its head, and it just works so well.
Yep. Yes.
Inside Job, my number 4, Inside Job.
Okay, so my number 3, I got a demo of this on, I think it was Friday morning. It was one of my 10 o'clock demos. So it was kind of funny. So there's a demo area, and I could see where I was needed to go. So I waited to get into the hall, and then I go over to the right to this demo area, and they have these walls up. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to miss my demo. So I had to go all the way around, swimming upstream to go around and get to this demo area.
You're just a mouse in a maze.
Yeah, I didn't know where I was going.
Looking for your cheese.
Yeah, but I found the cheese, and the cheese was Star Wars Unlimited. So if you've been living under a rock, you probably haven't heard that this is the next trading card game, TCG, coming from Fantasy Flight, based on the Star Wars IP. It is a 2-player dueling game where you're either the Rebel side or the Imperial side. So we played with 30 card decks. I think the standard game you play with 50 card decks, I want to say, but this was just for demo purposes. They had 30 cards. I played one full game with Luke and then half a game with Vader until they kicked us out, and the other, time slot was there to play their game. So the way that it works is you draw a handful of cards. You pick 2 of those cards to be resources that go in front of you. And those resources are what you pay to get additional cards out onto the board. Every subsequent turn, you draw 2 cards, and then you can play one of those cards as an additional resource. So your resources are ramping up as the game goes on, and you're able to get more powerful cards out. The types of cards you can play are cards either in space, or you can play cards that are ground units, and they're separated, at least in the map that we were playing on. The ground units were on the left, and the space units were on the right. You also have a leader, and like I mentioned in the demo, it was either Luke or Darth Vader. The leader has a special action that they can do. So Luke, you would exhaust a resource and then give a shield token to one of your units, one of your rebel units. And there's different icons on these cards that distinguish what type of card is being played. Darth Vader, you could spend a resource and then tap the card to, and if you played a rebel card that turn, you get to do a damage to your opponent's card and a damage to your opponent's base. The whole goal of the game is you need to do 30 damage to your opponent's base, and whoever does that first wins. And then what's really cool is there's an epic action for each of your heroes. Once you get a certain number of resources out, you can get Luke or Vader actually out onto the board. Then they can, do all of their damage. So Luke says on attack, you may give another unit a shield token. So similar, but he has a lot of defense value. He has a lot of attack value. Vader, he can deal on attack. You may deal 2 damage to a unit. So he just does a lot of attack. Okay.
Are there different versions of Luke and Vader? Because I'm looking at one that card that says something different.
So it's when you're done with the demo, they give you the event exclusive cards, which I was able to pick up a few of those, which is really cool. So yeah, sounds like maybe there are different.
You've got some special ones.
Got some special cards.
So it means that your promo cards, it's not like nobody's going to be able to play without Luke or Darth Vader if they don't go get the promo cards.
Yeah,
there are other versions.
It looks like there's multiple Luke cards.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's a 4 out of 7 on the one I'm looking at.
Oh.
The quantity of different types of Lukes there are, maybe.
I was looking at these cards earlier, and I'm like, what the heck does 5 out of 8 mean? So maybe Darth Vader has 8 different cards. So maybe that's what it means. But what I really like about this game is it's back and forth, just really quick. So you take one turn, you attack with one unit, then it goes to your opponent. They play a card or attack with a unit or do something. It's just back and forth. The pace of the game was really fun, really quick. The cards work well together. There's good synergies and stuff that you're trying to get to work. It was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to explore it a little bit more.
So are you going to be all in on this when it comes out?
I was thinking about that on the way over here. So I only have room for one trading card game, and I'm going to do either Lorcana or Star Wars Unlimited. I'm drawn a little bit more towards Unlimited, but if you guys are into it too, then I probably would do it.
I'd buy a deck probably.
I would be.
But the thing is, you can't just buy a deck.
Right.
You got to buy boosters. If you're going to legitimately build a starter deck, you got to be pretty invested in it, right?
I would be much more interested in this than I will ever be in Lorcana. So
yeah, I'd probably be the same.
And
I would be up for doing some damage to the wallet.
Yeah. Okay, then I'm probably going to go Unlimited. And if you guys weren't going to do that, I would go Lorcana because I think I could play that with my family. And I may just get both because I've got a 10-year-old that if she has any interest at all in this game, that's all the excuse I need to start buying decks, boosters and stuff. So.
I think it's so funny that they released Star Wars, the deck building game, and now they're doing Unlimited.
Right. And it's Fantasy Flight, right?
There's some crossover there in the play a little bit.
There is, yeah.
I mean, and I felt like the deck building game, it's really quick back and forth too.
It is. And I really liked it. I really liked the deck building game. Yeah.
It was almost like it was a dry run. Like,
could have been like, if this sells well, then hey, we're going to go all in on Unlimited, right? I don't know.
One thing about IP games that usually I don't love is when they take images from the IP itself, and put it in.
Agreed.
And it feels like cheap and not like the best solution to like a trading card game or something, whatever, using the actual images from the IP. I'm impressed by the artwork that is in Star Wars Unlimited. I'm looking at Grand Moff Tarkin's card, and I love kind of like the style of art they chose to depict him. I think it's really well done, and there's a number of cards in here that I think are really well done. But
yeah, and they've got a little bit of backlash, I think, on the art. At least that's some of the things that I've been hearing. I love it. I think it's great. It's a little bit different than standard Fantasy Flight art, right?
It's gonna be a preference thing, no matter what.
But
right?
I think it's great.
I do too.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah. So really excited about this one. It is Star Wars Unlimited. It's going to hurt my wallet.
So my number, whatever we're on.
3.
Number 3.
That was my number 3, by the way.
Yeah, that would have helped.
Yeah, right.
My number 3 game that I chose is a Pandasaurus game and a trick-taking game. So it kind of combines 2 of what you guys have done, but you guys didn't talk about this, and I don't think you guys saw this one or looked at it very closely. And if you did, correct me if I'm wrong, but the game is called Aurum, and it's a game 3 to 4 players for from Pandasaurus game designed by Shrishbot. Did you guys look at this one at all or see it?
I saw it. I didn't really look into it.
Yeah, I didn't look into it either.
So it's a team-based trick-taking game. It's either you play as 3 players, 2 against 1, or 4 players, 2 on 2. But the gimmick in this trick-taking game is that instead of you have to follow suit, you can't follow suit.
Oh, okay.
So if I play a red 3, for example, you cannot play a red card. It prevents you from being able to play the red card. But instead, the trump suit is gold. It's the only suit that can be played multiple times in a round. So it takes trick-taking and does a little bit of a gimmick to it in a way that I'm curious about. Like I haven't played a trick-taker that kind of really defies trick-taking in some ways, and so I'm very interested in it. But I guess the theme in it is that you're alchemists who are trying to figure out what the formula is. You stumbled upon the formula for creating gold, and you forgot what it was or something. And so basically you're trying to get it right by combining different suits until you get the right thing, and you take tricks to be able to win it. So obviously it's a trick taker, and the theme is not really well integrated, I don't think, but the theme seemed fun, and the justification for why we're doing different suits was interesting to me. So this was one that I had thought sounded pretty interesting coming out of Gen Con.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I like trick takers that do something different. Like Cat in the Box, I thought was interesting, right? Because none of the cards are actually a suit, and you choose the color of the suit. And speaking of Cat in the Box, there was a colossal Cat in the Box, like a new edition of that. I don't know who's asking for that, but it looks
but
massive, right?
Wasn't the Kickstarter running concurrently with Gen Con? It was launched or something like that?
I think so,
It might even still be live still right now.
Yeah, it could be. But this one sounds interesting, right? I like the trick takers that do something a little bit different. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, if you like trick takers,
I do. I
think
trick
that
takers.
this is one that does something different and worth kind of looking at. And it's another one of those small box Pandasaurus games. So
nice, awesome.
That's my number 3, Aurum.
So my number 3 is a very tactical game in a very small package. This is General Orders World War II from Osprey Games. This is Trevor Benjamin and David Thompson. The artist is Alex Green. I beelined it to the Osprey Games booth and picked this up. I was surprised at how small it is.
Well, it's small, but like really deep. Yeah. Right. It's a weird box shape.
It is a weird box shape. But, this will be great for traveling with when there's limited luggage space.
Yep.
But yeah, so this is a very tactical 2-player game. Takes about 30 minutes to play, where there's 2 sides to the board. On the base side, you have a symmetrical map, and you're basically just trying to control as many stars as you can on the tiles that are in the middle of this map by the end of 4 rounds, or you're trying to take over the other player's headquarters, which is on the complete opposite side of the map from you. You can do different actions like advance. You can drop in, you reinforce, you can drop paradrop or airdrop some soldiers in.
You can shoot off your big guns or whatever.
Yeah, shoot off your barrage, your cannons, and wipe out some guys. And not only do the tiles in the middle have stars that go towards the control for end victory points, but they also have special abilities. They enhance some of your other abilities. So you might get to roll an extra die or 2 depending on which ones you have and which action you're taking. One of them, when you advance, it lets you add another troop. So basically you have these troops that start out on your board, and then you have 5 commander pieces. You place them out on this little hexagon space. Each tile has different hexagons on them. Some of them have the advance, some of them have the barrage or whatever. And that's how you select which action you're doing. You also have a board off to the side that there's 2 reinforce actions. One of them's better than the other. And then there's one that I don't know if it's intel or something, but it lets you draw cards that you can use. And one of the 2 of those will change initiative, but you only get 1 card, whereas the other one you draw 2 cards. Cards are powerful. They help you out
very
big
powerful.
Time,
yeah.
Especially when you get them right when you need them.
Some of them are less powerful than others, but there's some that really can swing the tide of the battle.
So you get 5 actions. You alternate taking turns. The turns are really quick. It's very tactical, back and forth. I don't know.
It's fun. It's
really fun. And I haven't played the other side. The other side adds airplanes, and I think is a little more complicated. But I had a blast with this one.
It was fun. And we played. We got it out, and luckily it's a really small footprint of a game because we had this teeny table at Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah,
and we got it out and played. And it was just it was a fun place to play it. It was a really fun game to play.
Yeah, we got 2 plays in.
We did
2.5.
That's one other thing to mention.
we struggled with the rules a little bit.
I felt like I'd never played games before.
Yeah. And I don't know that it's that bad. I think it was sleep deprivation, and we're tired. We're trying to learn a game, and we overlooked something about how you put out your commanders and select the actions. And so we played a game wrong, and we stopped about halfway into it, and then
played another one. Yeah.
And played 2 more.
Played 2 more. Yeah.
But really quick. Yeah. I played the other night with Logan, had really fun with it. The rounds go pretty quick. And if nobody's taken over headquarters at the end of the 4th round, then the game's over, and whoever has the most control of stars in the middle of the board wins. One thing that I really like about it too, sorry, I could go on about this one for a while, but so there's both controlling an area, and then also you have to be able to have supply. It has to connect back to your headquarters.
Yeah, which is important.
So you have to have control from when you go to reinforce. You have to have both control and supply to a forward deployed area to deploy reinforcements there.
Which thematically makes perfect sense, right?
It does.
Yeah.
So it's fun when you're shooting your barrage off or shooting your cannon off. You kind of kill all of the other soldiers in one of those in-between spaces, and now Kevin or whoever you're playing can't deploy all the way to their front lines,
and that I think hurt you in the first game we played.
It did. It was brutal.
Then it hurt me bad in the second game we played.
It's fun. The first game, Kevin destroyed me by points. The second game, I took over his HQ. In the game I played with Logan, he went all out, pushing up both sides, trying to get to my HQ, and I kind of settled in behind him in the middle, and he failed on the last turn to take over my HQ, and then I won by points. So really fun game, very tactical, back and forth, plays really quick. I love this game. It's awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing 2-player Trevor Benjamin, David Thompson game.
Yeah, they're really good at those.
Never going to get played.
I think it's quick enough that if you have 6 people at game night and you want to play a 4-player game.
I've heard all of this before. My point is that you guys get all of these Trevor Benjamin, David Thompson games.
You could come to these nights too.
Could I?
I am for sure bringing this game to our cabin coming in
absolutely.
November. So
along with some Undaunteds.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to get at least one of them played. Because, see, I owned War Chest before either of you. I owned a Trevor Benjamin, David Thompson game before either of you, and wanted to play it eagerly with you guys, and then you both bought copies. And then
mine just showed up, actually.
Yeah.
So I bought on the AEG deal week or a couple of weeks. I got them almost half off 4 months ago, and they just showed up. So I've got Ready, Set, Bet to play. I've got War Chest, and then the 2 original expansions. I don't have the new one yet because that Kickstarter hasn't fulfilled, but Yeah, we should play some War Chest, Tyson.
Let's play War Chest, because I have it too. I got it for half off at the Barnes & Noble sale, which that's a good
We
deal.
could set up 3 different games and be rotating.
It's chess master kind of a...
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's going to go well.
It's like BGA, where it's just like playing several games asynchronously. But
Okay.
I feel like there's a satirical video we could make out of that, too.
How horribly we fail at this little experiment.
Yeah. And just the BGA rotation, but in physical real life.
This player's not taking their turn.
What do you do if somebody's not taking their turn? You punch them in the face because they're right here.
All right, so that was my number 3, General Orders, World War II. And I am excited about this one. I don't know if there's going to be more in this line. It sounds like it could be possible, but I'm not sure.
We will see.
We will.
If there is, then I'm sure I'll pick it up. All right, so my number 2, this game was not on my radar at all going into Gen Con. I walked by the booth and was interested in it the first time I walked by the booth later and was talking to one of the guys there and got even more interested about it. So this game is called HerStory. Okay. It is designed by Nick Bentley, Emerson Matsuchi, and Daniel Reynolds. Art is done by Eunice Adei and Christina Aguirre, and it's published by Underdog Games. So HerStory is the theme of it is you're an author and you're writing a book to tell the stories of remarkable women of history. So I was talking to the guy in the booth, and he said as they were doing research for this game, they found that games about women are outnumbered by games about sheep 10 to 1.
Oh my God.
Right? That just blows my mind, right? So I mean, obviously women are underrepresented in games. They're underrepresented in a lot of things in society. So the fact that they published a game specifically about women and historical women, and to learn about them is just amazing. And for me, I have a family of 3 girls, and I'm so excited to get this played with them. So it's a very light engine builder set collection type game where you're, like I said, writing a book, and you're writing 8 chapters of this book, and you're writing about specific women in history. So there's 120 women that they've chosen, and they're on large format, cards, tarot sized cards. And on the back of those cards, there's the history of what that, woman did. So getting, this game out, reading the history, playing this light engine builder that I think my 10-year-old will easily play, and I'll get my teenager to play as well, is just super interesting to me, and I'm excited to play it. So I opened up the game today, and on the top of the game, it says, there's this little envelope that said, this is our gift to you for buying the game. You open it up, there's a bunch of bookmarks in there and postcards that have cool art with, these sayings on them that these women have done. Just really cool presentation, and I think one of the cooler themes of any game that I've seen recently.
Is there no BGG entry for this one?
No, it's her story.
There's no space in
one
her
word.
story.
Oh, so it's history. Gotcha. It's clever.
History, but her story. There you go.
And it spans all of history essentially, right? Up to present day. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is in there, right?
She is. Yep.
She's on the cover.
Well, and it's lightweight.
Joan of Arc, just it goes back a ways.
It's lightweight too, so you shouldn't have any problem at all getting your younger daughters to play.
No, not at all. It's got I think a 6 or 7 page rule book that does not have a lot on each page, so it'll take no time at all to get up to speed. And it's it looks like an entry point into engine building. Engine building is one of my favorite mechanics in a game, and if I can get a game that eases my younger kids into engine building, fantastic. That has a great theme to go on top of it. That's sign me up for that. So hopefully it's a good game. I'll get it played.
I love when a board game pulls factually from historical things. I can't tell you how many times at work somebody's asked me a question about history-based stuff, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I know that, and I'll shoot out a random fact about it, and they're like, "How do you know that?" And I'm like, "Well, it came from a board game, actually." But like
Memoir 44.
yeah,
Yeah, he used egg yolk in his cement for his bridge.
In Prague.
yeah. But I love what it can teach you stuff in a way that like it's just a different medium for learning that I think is really awesome. And so I think that this as a game has that potential in a way that would be really informative and enjoyable.
Yeah, it's cool. I was looking at the rule book too, and on the back of the rule book, it said it credited people who had contributed to the game. And there was probably 20 pictures of these middle school girls that had done a ton of research on these women and submitted that research to this company. And they used a lot of the quotes and a lot of the research that these middle school girls had done. And I'm like, that is really cool, that they're doing this. Seems like they did this game in the right way. So more to come on this. I'll get it played soon and do a more in-depth of how it plays. So hopefully it's a fun game as well.
Cool.
That's my number 2, HerStory.
Well, my next game is a compilation of information as well, just not historically or factually based at all. It's called Spellbook. It's a book about spells. So
okay,
maybe
nice.
not nearly as I don't know how you follow up a great game like HerStory for Spellbook, but Spellbook is a game that is designed by Phil Walker Harding and published by Space Cowboys. I hadn't even heard about anything about this game except for when I reviewed the Gen Con preview list and saw that it was on there. The real reason that it stood out to me, not the art, not the components or anything special about it, but really what stood out to me was it was Phil Walker Harding. And I really like Phil Walker Harding. I think he's got a lot of really fun games. He's done stuff like Sushi Go, he's done Cacao, he's done Emotep,
Silver and Gold.
Park, and Silver and Gold, exactly, which is one of my favorite Phil Walker Harding games.
That's
very
fun
very thematic.
Yes.
And it's got no theme. But this one, Spellbooks, seems to have some theme. But really what really kind of drew me in, even after I heard it was Phil Walker Harding, was that essentially what you're trying to do in this game is you're a player that has a familiar, and you possess a grimoire, and you're trying to collect materia to be able to master spells. So essentially what you're doing is you're collecting all of this information and spells to be able to craft or create spells by combining different things. Really, you're creating new spells in this game, and it touts that you can, as the round progresses, the game becomes a different experience every time, with more than 2,100 spell combinations being possible.
Whoa!
So there is like a ton of possibility with this game in that like you're creating new spells every single time you're playing this game and kind of making these combination, a little bit of hand management, set collection kind of stuff going on to be able to create these spells that can go about and do different things. It also has a solo mode, which is something that always appeals to me, which is great because I would be able to test this out and see if I really like it. And yeah, this is a game that I had heard nothing about, and now I'm very intrigued by.
I am intrigued as well, because it sounds like you're making your own versions of these spells. Yes. I've said this before. I love games where you build something that's your own, and that sounds awesome. Well, and if it's a spell, even better, right?
And as I understand it, you're creating these spells that are common like to all other players. So you create a new spell and you get a benefit for creating it, but now everybody has access to be able to utilize that spell in this game, which also is really intriguing to me.
That's cool. I like it.
So I mean, that's about the extent of what I know about this game, but that's enough for me to kind of seek this one out. I don't know that this one's widely available yet, or if it just got released at Gen Con, but it's one I'm going to be keeping my eye out for to see if I can find a copy of this, because again, fan of Phil Walker Harding, and this kind of combination of spell crafting sounds really interesting to me. So that's Spellbook.
So my number 2 is a game that you get to build something that's your own. and it's very relaxing. Very, very relaxing. I don't know if this is going to be on your list or not, but I know that Kevin enjoyed this game. It is Bonsai from DV Games. So, and I apologize right now. The designers are Rosario Battiato, Massimo Bors, and Martino Chiachira. Sorry.
Yeah, nailed it.
The artist, and I love the art in this game, is Davud Moghadami. Yes.
You just went for more punishment.
Yes, yeah. So I apologize to all those people, but they created a fantastic game. So in Bonsai, you are drafting wood and leaves and flowers and fruit, and you're building this bonsai tree in front of you. And there are goal cards that everybody's trying to beat each other out for. I do think it's interesting when you, on a turn that you accomplish one of those goals, you have to decide whether you're going to take a lesser value one, or if you're going to go big or go home and do more of something that pertains to that goal and get a bigger reward, but you might not get any reward at all if you don't make it, right? So I love that concept. This is a really lightweight open draft tile placement game where you are building this beautiful bonsai tree in front of you, and it is so relaxing and so fun. Different scoring cards in there that you can draft as well. But yeah, it's just relaxing. My one complaint is that it ends too soon.
Seemed like it in our game.
Yeah, and maybe
I wanted to continue to build my bonsai tree.
It needs an expansion. It needs, I don't know.
The opposite of Terraforming Mars Prelude expansion. It needs an extender expansion.
Yeah, like
maybe.
I honestly, like, I would be happy to sit down, and I think this game would be fantastic solo. Just to sit down and play and build your bonsai tree, and that's got to be so relaxing. I don't know. It was almost
a palate cleanser game, right?
It was. It's lightweight. It's a good palate cleanser. Yeah, it is.
What you're describing sounds exactly like what it is like to trim a bonsai tree.
Right?
I think they kind of nailed the theme, right?
Yeah.
With the mechanics.
Yeah, it's that similar inner piece as you sleeve your cards one by one by one.
Yeah, I got the same feel.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not interested anymore. You had me up until there.
Yeah, no, I was completely relaxed by this game. It's beautiful and just a lot of fun and really lightweight.
Yeah, it's one that I was thinking maybe I should have picked up. But as with any game at Gen Con, it's going to be available later, so I'll be able to pick it up later. But I think it's one that I'll end up owning.
I could see my wife loving this game.
Yeah.
So I pre-ordered it after we played it, and I got it for much cheaper, obviously, than Ben did. But
see what you
this is another game that Ben walked home with.
Somehow he that made it into his bag too.
Yeah.
Or my bag that he borrowed.
Yeah.
That's how he got it.
Yeah, that's how they got everything home. Yeah.
That's my number 2, Bonsai.
Okay, so my number 1 has been mentioned already, and that is Inside Job. This game was fantastic for all the reasons we've already talked about. We don't need to go into it anymore. It's an amazing trick taker with an insider trader that's trying to sabotage everything. So if you like trick takers, if you like social deduction, pick this one up. You will not be disappointed. Inside Job. My number 1.
All right. So my number 1 is completely opposite in terms of weight from Inside Job. It is a game that was demoed at Gen Con. They said that they've been working on this game for 5 years. And they say it's the ultimate 4X meets worker placement experience. This game is Ascendancy. It's designed by Matthew Meeple and published by One More Turn Games.
That can't be his real name.
I don't think it is. But if it is, an amazing...
That is amazing.
He found his calling in life.
Kickstarter, right?
It is currently live on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I am currently a backer of this game. And
Nice.
I haven't fully committed to it yet, and I'll get into exactly why that is. But essentially, so what this game is, like I said, it's a 4X game with worker placement mechanics in it. Essentially, what you're doing in this game is there is a central board where you are exploring. You're laying down tiles to be able to explore, but there are also 4 different boards, I believe it's 4, that are like game trays, essentially. And each of these game trays have worker placement spots on them. The game goes over a number of different rounds, and in each of these rounds, you're going to do different things that are kind of part of that 4X experience. Expand, explore, exterminate, and, I'm missing
Exploit.
one. Exploit, yes. This game has almost every kind of mechanic that you can think of. You've got worker placement, you've got area control, you've got hidden roles, you've got rock, paper, scissors, you've got variable player powers, you've got economy.
I'm sorry, did you say rock, paper, scissors?
There is rock, paper, scissors type of mechanism in here. It's not hands like rock, paper, scissors, but like it's Rochambeau kind of.
Oh.
One faction has a strength, I believe it's strength, cunning, and one other thing beats it. So you're trying to manipulate it. The guy Matthew Meeple, said that the reason he designed this game was essentially because he wanted to combine some of his favorite fantasy genres in games, video games like Heroes of Might and Magic, Final Fantasy, things like Game of Thrones, or different types of fantasy tropes. And he was putting all of this together to create the ultimate experience. As it's presented, it seems like a very ambitious project.
That's what I was going to say. Like, are all these mechanisms going to work?
That is
work
my
together,
big question here. I've watched a number of videos on this. I've read a number of reviews on this. Most of them are previews because it's a Kickstarter, so I don't know that I'm getting the full experience. I've read experience from people who have been at Gen Con or other conventions demoing this game, and they seem to have high praise for it, and everybody says it seems to work. There's a demo available on Tabletop Simulator, and there's a lot going on. My big downside to this is, I forgot to mention that this also has legacy components and campaign scenario stuff.
Because why not?
Because everything else is in this game. Might as well throw that in too. But like, there is a lot going on in this game. But on Board Game Geek, it says that the playtime is between 90 and 480 minutes.
Oh, pass for me.
That was my at first. That was exactly my reaction. I was like, nope, no chance. I am not interested at all. But then I understood that 480 is if you want to play the scenarios back to back to back to create an epic kind of era type of a thing where you're going from generation to generation, so your houses are kind of evolving over generations and their ancestors get it. So you could play this game like Twilight Imperium essentially for like 8 hours and have that experience, or you could have a 90-minute one-off experience, and that's far more what I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's a little bit easier to get to the table.
And I didn't mention as well, it's a solo cooperative or a competitive game.
Okay,
which
so
concerns me.
This could be the best game ever designed in the history of games, or it could fail miserably.
Exactly.
Right?
Which is why I said initially, I'm not convinced that I will keep my pledge of this one, because there is a lot of potential for it to fall flat on its face. I still want some more information. I'm still doing reading and research on this one. I'll keep you posted, but I'm going to read the rules on this one before I fully kind of commit to this one, because I don't always read, like in Kickstarter, the rule books that are available, but I feel like I owe it to myself to be able to fully evaluate.
You got to do your research on this one.
I've got to read the rules. So stay tuned. I may be getting a copy of this game, or I may not, but it's my most anticipated game, the one that excites me the most from everything from Gen Con.
Looks cool. I hope you buy it, because I am very interested to see if this actually works. No, if this actually works. I hope every game that's made is the best game ever. So, I mean.
And I would love to play cooperatively with you, Tyson.
Right.
Because I know that's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
Well, so they actually,
good point, Tyler.
the cooperative version of this sounds interesting to me.
What?
Because it's a campaign game. I like cooperative, like Gloomhaven. Like I love dungeon crawl kind of cooperative versions of that style of game. I don't like your pure strategic, puzzly kind of pandemic style cooperative.
Cthulhu Death May Die. That's up your alley.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
That type. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Got it.
So I'd be fine playing this one cooperatively.
Done.
But yeah, that is Ascendancy, currently on Kickstarter.
Sounds like you're buying it. Cool.
All right. Do you guys have any guesses what my number 1 is?
Let's look here. I'm drawing a blank.
So this one, Cosmoctopus.
Oh, yes.
This game was awesome.
Yeah.
I had a blast with this one. So this is from
Lucky Duck.
Lucky Duck. It says Paper Fort Games on BGG, but U.S. distribution is Lucky Duck. It's designed by Henry Audubon, who I believe did Trails and Parks. And the artist is George Doutsiopoulos.
I'm sorry.
What was that one more time?
Who was that?
Yeah. So, so in Cosmoctopus, you're trying to bring this Cthulhu-ish octopus through space and time. I don't know. You're trying to help him, right?
But when you say Cthulhu, you have to point out the fact that it looks nothing like
It
Cthulhu.
looks like an octopus.
It looks friendly. It looks cute.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
cute. You know, Cthulhu is cute in some games.
Oh, chibi
and
Cthulhu.
So, yes,
Well,
yeah, okay.
No,
Yeah.
he is. Yeah.
yeah. So well, and I don't know. He's kind of cute.
Yeah, you were.
There's another thing, a little tangent here. There's a kid's Cthulhu book that I saw at Gen Con.
Oh yeah.
It looked at me. It was like it looked like a why am I drawing a blank on the
This is working for you.
we're gonna edit this
I
out.
really like it.
Who's
Keep it up.
who's the kid's author
Yeah.
that does all
That's
those
working for
books?
me too.
Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss. Oh, Dr. Seuss. How the heck did I
That
not
was
know
amazing. You got that?
Yeah, off
I
of
read-
those clues.
I read Fox and Socks to Cade tonight.
Yeah,
So
it's in Dr. Seuss style.
Okay.
And it's a Cthulhu book. And then
Nice.
there's another one about Dagon. It looked amazing. And I almost
that's
picked him
awesome.
up. Sorry, little tangent. Back to Cosmoctopus.
okay, so Cosmoctopus, you're
Yeah.
trying to bring him into the realm, right?
You're trying to summon him.
Yeah, you're trying to summon him. You're trying to collect 8 tentacles
Yep.
to put around your little board. So this is a engine building, open drafting, hand management, area majority. There lots of things are going on in this game. In the middle of the play space, there are 9 tiles laid out in a 3x3 grid.
Randomly laid out.
Randomly laid out. I think the one in the center is the same. Each one of them does a different action. There are a few extra ones in the box for variability sakes. But you have this octopus head, Cosmoctopus is head, in the middle of the board on one of these tiles, and you're each controlling him on your turn. So you can move him, or you have to move him and then do an action on a space that you move him to.
And you can move him a little bit further for a cost of a resource. So you're not limited to only one space.
Right.
Yep.
But if he's on the space that you want to do when it's your turn, you cannot move him away and then move him back.
Right.
So
which can kind of bite you.
it can, which well, it was an interesting aspect of,
Yes.
of the game. One other thing, when your turn finishes, you're supposed to rotate his head so that he's staring at the next player so that they know that it's their turn and your
Which
turn's done.
is in
Which
the rules and is very useful.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
Yeah. Plus he stares into your soul.
So in this game, you're drafting 4 different types of cards. There's scripture, relic, hallucinations, and constellations. Each card has a cost. And there's a number of there's 4 different resource types. There's ink, coins, whispers, and stars. The scripture cards help you gain resources that you on a card that you can now use permanently for the rest of the game to go towards other cards. So it negates some of the cost of playing cards in the future. Relics, when you collect any type of resource, they have a specific bonus that you get. So if you're collecting coins, you'll get an extra coin or an extra 2 coins for the rest of the game. Hallucinations are one-time effects, where you get some powerful reward. And then constellations, you are, as you gain resources, you're putting these resources on the card and filling in a constellation to then score a tentacle, right? And there's some other ways to get some tentacles. If you pay like
12 or 13 resources, which
in each color you can get 2 tentacles, and then
which you have to do it in a kind of a tricky way, right? Because you have a max of 8 resources that you can carry from round to round
for each type.
And the type of resources, you have to spend 1 type of resource to get this bonus 2 tentacles. So you can play a card, for example, that gets you a bonus of 5 of those resources, and that you have 8 that were in your bank already, and then you cash those in to get 2, which 2 tentacles is a lot of tentacles.
Yeah.
That's a good bonus.
And there are some chaining opportunities in this game.
Which you got to work once. I think you got 3 tentacles in 1 turn.
I did, and it felt really good. I know, I think Dan Day on our Discord commented and said he played it at Gen Con as well, and he had a turn that he got 5, I think,
that's
in one turn. That's crazy.
And he was like looking at the rules. It just didn't feel right. But they looked at the rules and looked like they were playing right. So, yeah.
But I had a blast with this one. The game went a little long. You can play a shorter version if you want.
To like 5 tentacles or something. Or you start with 2 or something like that.
And I would suggest, if this is the first time you're playing, especially if you're playing 4-player, play the shorter version, because the game did go on a little long, but I had a blast with it. Ben bought this, and I think Kevin got a review copy, and glad we have this in our group because it was a lot of fun.
I'm a little, I think this is a situation in which you don't judge the book by the cover kind of a experience for me, because not to say that the art is bad, but the name Cosmoctopus plus cute little chibi octopus on the front cover wasn't screaming out to me as something that I'm like, oh, I must play this. I'm very fascinated by this.
I'm the opposite. I'm like, I looked at that and I'm like, I want to play it.
Yeah,
and
I think everybody in our group wanted it.
Yeah. So the thing with me though is it's heavier and a little bit deeper than I anticipated.
And that's what I mean is to me, it didn't seem like at first glance, this is going to be like as depthy of an experience as you guys are explaining here. And like, as I'm looking at these components as well, it looks like the production value in this game is done really well.
The
art tentacles are really cool.
Yep. The cards themselves look awesome.
And they're
tokens
really nice quality.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does it come with the game trays as well? Or is that, you guys posted a picture of this on our Discord.
I think I brought those.
Okay.
Yeah, I had game trays in my bag.
But like even those like wooden tokens also look really well done. So I'm impressed overall by what I'm seeing.
Yeah. So
awesome. Love it. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I like this one a lot. I was terrible in my first play, but it was really fun, and I will definitely be playing this one a lot more.
Well, and we were
a little rushed.
We were hurrying to finish because Ben and Greg were going to meet one of Ben's old college roommates or something that happened to be at Gen Con for dinner. So I was really excited about this one. So that's my number 1, Cosmoctopus.
So like we've talked about, there's a ton of good games that we got to play. So I think we have some honorable mentions here. I know I have a few. I picked up Animated. This is a Funko game about Disney. So you have these animation cells, and you're creating an animated movie. So it's got, I think, 4 or 5 different movies that it's based on, and I can't remember which ones those are at the moment. But
Alice in Wonderland's in there.
Alice in Wonderland, I do remember that. But it looks really fun. I'm excited to break this one out with my kids. That's one of mine. Flotsam Float. This is I went to the Haba booth and I'm like, I have to get some Haba games. So this is another Haba. It's like a dexterity stacking game that I've already played with my kids. That's an awesome one. That one's a lot of fun. Those were a few of them that didn't quite make my list, but I'm excited about or I've already played and are a lot of fun.
So a couple for me. One's a Haba. That's Dragon's Breath. And this, I've already got my money's worth. We've been home for, a week? And I think Caden's probably played this like 20 times already.
Love it. Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with Dragon's Breath, you have a bunch of gems in these rings they're inside these rings that you stack up in the middle. And before you pull a ring off the top, you decide, everybody picks a color that they think those gems are going to fall out the most of. So you pull off a ring, and then the gems fall, and they might fall in the holes and go down to the dragon's cave. But the ones that don't, that are the color that you picked, go in your cave. And I don't know, just really nice production. At the end of the game, you pull off the board and it's divided into areas, and it's easy to count and see who had the most gems. Cade loves this game. I was home from work today. Cade kept one more game, and just loving it. And it's just awesome. And
I love Haba. I mean, their production, the chunky wooden pieces in all their games, they're unique games, and
they're tactile, they're colorful, they're evocative to every child that looks at them, or adult, and it's great.
Well, that's the fun thing about a lot of them is they're fun for adults to play too. I mean, I have a blast playing them, so we have all kinds of Haba games, and we've been collecting for years. So this is actually one that we don't have, but I'm sure we'll end up with.
It's awesome. Another honorable mention, this almost made my list, Powerline from Queen Games.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
It did some interesting things. I was looking at the BGG page, and I was a little surprised by some of the ratings and stuff that it has.
It wasn't lower. My favorite, but it did some interesting stuff.
It did some interesting things. So you're trying to fill in these power lines, and the power lines are made up of random numbers 1 through 6. So you can either go from one side or the other. At the start of every round, you roll a bunch of colored dice, and those dice are for everybody. And then you set them up on your on the board, and you have to either play them from the left or the right. And you're trying to match up numbers with the power lines that you have that you're working on. And you get points as you complete power lines and do different things there. One really interesting thing, though, is like if I took a turn where I used all 6 dice, I only can use 2 more turns, I think, or 1 more turn where I use all 6 dice the rest of the game. So you have limited spots. You have to sometimes just use 1 die. Sometimes you have to use 2 dice. You're trying to maximize your opportunities to fill in these power line numbers in order. It did some interesting things. I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I know Ben really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really fun puzzle, but that didn't make my list. So that was Powerline.
One of the ones that was on my list that I was wanting to know if it was worth my kids' time is called Oh No Volcano. And Oh No Volcano is another Phil Walker Harding game, but it's published by Buffalo Games. This was the reason I thought this was great is my kids love Fireball Island, and this gives me some Fireball Island vibes. Essentially what you're doing is you have climbers that are going up a volcano, and you're trying to reach the top. The volcano looks kind of like a Plinko board.
I did see
and
this.
You drop
one.
it, the marble goes down, and you're trying to make sure your climber doesn't get knocked off the volcano. I really think my kids would like this one, and it's one that I'm going to have to check out more for them because I think it looks a lot of fun.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I remember seeing this one. Yeah, I remember it's like a Plinko board, and they were dropping the little balls down there trying to knock meeples off and stuff. Yeah. That's interesting. I should have spent more time on that one. A lot of booths, though.
Oh, I'm sure there were tons for you guys to check out.
A couple that they had demos of that stood out to me. Well, there was Nucleum, right, from Bonsai.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
That looks awesome.
That looks amazing. That's the insta-buy, I think, for me. Yeah.
It's a heavy one, though. It's almost a 4 on the up to 5 weight scale on BGG. So how often are we really going to get it played? But it looks awesome.
I'll let you buy that one.
Insta-buy for Tyler.
Then I have to be the one that teaches it.
Again, you should buy it.
No. The other one that I saw was Horror on the Orient Express, and that was a very early prototype.
It was,
very early.
Very early.
But it looked interesting, and definitely am going to be...
The box cover art looks beautiful
awesome.
and makes me really want to play that game.
Yes.
I think I'm going to end up buying this one just on the box cover art alone. The theme looks amazing.
Yeah.
And reading about it looks really
I saw it was
it's Adam
cooperative, and I was
Kwapinski,
like,
which-
I don't know. But,
Yeah,
he's the Nemesis
Nemesis
designer,
guy
right?
and
Yeah.
a bunch of other stuff. So
Yeah, I was going to try and talk to him about it, but they had some media people there talking to him about it. So, and then I came back or got doing something else. But yeah, that one looks awesome.
it does.
One that I played, I demoed that is on the other end of the spectrum was Chicken.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you heard of this one?
No.
This is going to be, they said this is going to be like a mass market in Target and
It's
Walmart
the same
and
company
stuff.
that did Trails and Parks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a fun press your luck dice game. Played a demo of it, which ended up being a full game because it's that type of game, right? Super quick. Loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I was thinking about buying it, but it was like $40 for the base game plus the expansions. And I'm like, ugh, for this type of game, I don't know.
You get that for $14 at Target.
Yeah,
in
it was
a couple
just
months.
little pricey. Yeah, if it's going to be in Target and Walmart, then it's probably a little bit cheaper that way.
And it'll go on clearance at some point or have some sort of markdown.
Yeah, but it's one I definitely want to pick up eventually. It was fun. Those light quick games to play get a lot of play.
Yeah.
So it's worth picking up eventually. So that was another one. Chicken was one I'm interested in.
Was there anything else that we played that we didn't really talk about?
One that was on my list that you did play, that you picked up, that you haven't talked about, which really kind of concerns me, is Tiger and Dragon.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah. So Tiger and Dragon, yeah, that's another one that we picked up. The production on this is fantastic. Big chunky tiles,
Like a Mahjong tile.
like Mahjong type of tiles. I think the box art is really interesting. I love that. It's got a lot of variability, different ways to score. It wasn't my favorite game, or it didn't make my top 5 games that I enjoyed, but I had a lot of fun with it. So the way it works is there's tiles that have numbers on them. There's a few tiles that have dragons in different colors. And the number of tiles that are in the game is based on the number of the tile. So the one tile, there's 1, there's 8 8s, there's 7 7s. On your turn, you're going to play a tile on the top row of your board, and then it goes around the table, and there's an option for other players to play that same number to win the round, and then they get to start by playing another tile. That's essentially the whole game. If you play a tile and it comes all the way around to you again, you get to take one of your tiles and place it face down. Nobody knows what that is. And there's also a number of tiles that get taken out of the game randomly at the beginning of each round. So there's only one tile that got taken out in a 4-player game, but I think at lower player counts, there may be more tiles that get taken out. That's essentially how the game plays. It's very straightforward. There's some strategy on when if you're going to pass, when you actually have that number. It's open information, what everybody has. So if, there's been 3 3s played and that 2 of them have been played, you can play your 3 and know that it's going to go all the way around, except for that dragon tile that somebody could play. But if you see that's been played as well, then you're going to win. So there's some interesting decisions to be made there. And I think it's a chess-like game where the more you play, I think the better you get. The more you play, you're going to see the strategy. The first time you play, you may not see that strategy and it may seem like kind of a dumb game. But I think the more that you play it, the more interesting it's going to get. And I see Tyler making faces because I don't think it's his favorite.
No, I would agree with what you just said, though. I think the more you play, the more you would dive into the strategy of how to actually accomplish things that you want to accomplish.
Yep. But on the surface, it may not be apparent. So I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't my favorite, but I think it's quick enough to play that you can get it out on a game night, play a quick round, have a good time with it. And I'm not upset that I picked it up. That's for sure.
What'd you think of, is it Savernake Forest or?
Savernake?
I liked it. It's light.
So that's from DeVere.
That's from DeVere.
It was interesting.
It was interesting. I mean, so the theme's kind of fun. So your woodland creatures trying to gather food. There's different. You start with a creature. You start with the creature, right? And it has certain food requirements that you can gather, and how many of that type of food that you can gather, right? So 2 acorns, for example, and then you're drafting cards, right?
Yeah. There's 4 available cards,
yeah.
and they have different rewards associated with them.
Yep. So you're drafting, there's 3 cards that have the type of food plus a route, and you're going to be placing this in a 4x4 grid or a 6x6. I can't remember.
4x4.
4x4 grid. And you're making these routes that go back to this critter that's going to feed them food, and you'll get points at the end of the game for that critter. And then you're going to get more critters and build additional routes. And it's kind of one of those relaxing games that we always talk about that was just kind of fun.
It was. Yeah. And it was the very last game we played.
Yep.
We were exhausted. My brain was
just
done.
Oatmeal.
I was so tired. But I still enjoyed the play of it. I thought it was fun, and I would look forward to playing it again.
And 3 of us were within 1 point at the end, and then the other, I don't remember. I think you were back just a little bit, but not too far.
I lagged behind. I focused too much on my starter, trying to make my starter creature better.
Yeah.
So that I could score more points, and that was a bad strategy. I should have focused on the other creatures that I drafted.
Yeah, because you can get water to make, add how many you can collect of the type of...
Or the stones add how many you can collect.
Oh, the stones,
water increase the points that you get per food type.
That's what it was. The stones will give you more that you can collect, but...
Yeah, it was fun though.
I liked it.
And it was another relaxing, kind of solitaire game, except for the drafting part, which there were some really important rounds of drafting there, because sometimes, you get initiative or you don't get initiative, and then you're stuck getting with whatever's left.
Right.
If you don't have if you're the last to pick, right?
Right. And if you're like really attentive to what everybody else is doing, then you could, take something that somebody else may need type of thing.
Yeah, I wasn't on that level in my first play.
Neither was I. I'm just trying to figure out my own board.
But like Azul, I could see it becoming
exactly what I was
much
thinking.
like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's kind of an Azul type of drafting type of thing. So I liked it. I thought it was good.
That was cool. I think that kind of wraps up. I mean, I played Mutton Bustin with my family after I got home.
Oh,
that was fun.
Nice.
25th Century game.
That was a Gen Con exclusive, right?
It was from 25th Century.
Which, when you said that, I saw Mutton Bustin' and I saw that it was a Gen Con exclusive, and anything that is a con exclusive game, I'm wary of it, because why would you just have a con exclusive game if it's unless it's not worth its salt?
It'll be in retail soon, but they had like 100 copies, right? So it's got a little ribbon on there that says Gen Con exclusive or something. But it's fun. You roll a dice when you're on the sheep, trying to get around the board as fast as you can to score as many points as you can. It's a little bit of push your luck, because the other players are rolling sheep dice, and when they roll a sheep, they have to do a couple of actions or say a couple things depending on what the cards are that are out, and then they add that sheep dice into the pen. If they get 6 sheep dice into the pen before you've stopped, then they knock you off the sheep and you don't get any points. So it's a couple rounds, really quick, really fun. I mean, just dumb fun, like something along the lines of like Taco Cat, Goat Cheese Pizza, or Happy Salmon.
Well, when you explained it, you mentioned it, I thought this reminds me of like a White Elephant Christmas style game where we would play as a family, where you roll dice and somebody's like unwrapping a present or whatever, and the person who fully unwraps the present gets the prize within. But if somebody rolls doubles, you have to pass the present to the next person. And so when you were saying that, I was like, okay, I can see how that would be really fun, because we would do that for holiday thing. Like
we do Shelly's family does the candy bar game where you roll doubles, and then you can steal a candy bar from someone else or from the center.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's a little bit different than that, but
Yeah, another one I got played. Turtle Splash. So this is
you played this when you got home.
yeah, when I got home I played Turtle Splash. Like you played Mutton Bustin. I played Turtle Splash with the kids. This is a Lucky Duck game in their kids line. So huge fan of the Lucky Duck kids line of games. It's Kids Chronicles. I played that with my kids. There's another one that's slipping my mind that I play with my kids, but it's fantastic. So I asked them, what's your newest game in the kids line? And they said Turtle Splash. So I'm like, done.
Nice.
I will buy that. So I bought that. This is it's a dexterity kind of flicking game where you're flicking this turtle down a slide and you're trying to get him to hit this little hole in the middle, kind of like a crokinole style, right? Ooh. So if you get it in the middle, you get to flip over 3 tiles that are in this grid, right? And you have these beach balls that are on your personal player board, and they have little critters that are next in line on this board in these 3 columns. And if you can flip over a critter that's next in line, you move your beach ball 1 spot, and you're trying to get all 3 of your beach balls to the end of each row. And whoever does that first wins. So it's got a little bit of dexterity where you're flicking the turtle. It's got some memory where you're flipping over tiles and trying to remember where they're at. So I played this with my 5-year-old and my 10-year-old and my 16-year-old. They all thought it was great and had a good time with it. So Turtle Splash.
Nice.
That's another one.
I think that kind of wraps up our the games we played and the games we were excited about coming out of Gen Con.
Well, and even though I couldn't attend, I gotta say I'm glad that
Kevin.
the next best thing is I gotta live vicarious a little bit. And
Kevin was posting on our Discord like crazy.
That's right. I would definitely go back to Gen Con. I thought it was fun. So maybe Origins only next year. Maybe Gen Con the following. I don't know. We'll see.
Trade-off kind of a thing.
Maybe a trade-off for me type of thing, but we'll see. It was a spectacle. It's the biggest thing in board gaming in North America anyways.
And we had a lot of fun playing games with each other.
I actually played more games at Gen Con than I did at Origins.
That's kind of crazy. That wraps up our episode.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Longest Turn Board Gaming Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you want more Longest Turn in your life, please check us out on Instagram. Also, be sure to check us out on Board Game Geek, where you can join our guild, Guild 3947, and check out our blog, where we post all our show notes and occasionally post more detailed reviews. If that's not enough for you, we have a Discord server. If you want to play a game with us on Board Game Arena, join our Board Game Arena group, The Longest Turn. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Tot ziens.
Goodbye.
See you later. Yeah, and I'm the lout over here that I'm already clearly
Can you explain lout?
Louse is the word I was
looking for. Yeah.
Very long board. My earbuds are falling out.
Oopsie.
This is not a trick taker.
What a transition.
Man.
Yeah. All right, start again. You okay?
Trying not to sneeze.
Okay. I'm having a medical emergency over here.
No, look up. That's you look up with your tongue to the top of the roof of your mouth and you can't you stop.
I was like, is he gonna pass out? What's going on over there?
No, I didn't want to interrupt you in it yet.
I don't know if that was recording or not.
Oh.
It might have been recording.
Tyler had amazing lemonade.
I had a lemonade, and one of the ushers or security guards was really excited about it.
Yeah.
And then we played General Orders, and we came out, and he saw me again and was like, "Ooh!" It was really weird.
I really kind of wanted to buy him a lemonade.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.